Welcome to the tag team event, fish!
Coming in hot off my first Lion Trophy win, I am looking to grow my collection. This is the APT tag team event. 54 entries, 27 teams, 4 places paid. How does it work, you might ask? I'll tell you. Each player gets their own starting stack. Every level, you swap places with your teammate and play their stack.
You changing again? Okay. Oh shit, sorry dude.
Once your partner dusts off your stack,
Sorry Sam.
you alternate playing the remaining stack every 20-minute level. Last team standing wins a bounty of 20% of the total prize pool, with the remaining 80% going to the top 4 places, meaning you and your teammate will each get 4th, 3rd, 2nd, or 1st place prize money. Let's go. Here we go, starting stack of 30k, meaning 300 big blinds on level 1. We don't have any interesting hands of note for the first 2 levels. We've been doing okay, Greg has been doing better, he's been chipping up both stacks nicely, but let's go, we're into level 3. Blinds are 100, 300, and we open up the ace-7 offsuit in the hijack to 700. Cutoff makes the call, and we go heads up to a flop of queen, 9, 7, 2 clubs. Out of position here, we are going to start with a check, and our opponent checks behind. Turn is the beautiful ace of hearts, improving us to 2 pair. We go for the slight overbet now, 2,500 into 2.1k, and face a very large 3x raise from the in-position player up to 7,500. Not a great spot here. This is a very big raise facing an overbet. Our opponent's range is going to be stuff like ace-9, ace-7, and perhaps some ace-x of clubs. So too soon to fold as we only really lose to ace-9, but not feeling great. I make the call, and we're going to play super cautiously. The river. It's a nice looking 5 of hearts, so we only lose to ace-9, I think. So I check it over to our opponent, who snap checks back, and we're topping. Ace-7 off. All right, on to the next one. We are very card dead for the next hour. We chip down, Greg chips us back up, until we get to this hand right as the level is ending. We open up the ace-king suited under the gun up to 1.2k, hijack makes a call, and now small blind puts in the squeeze up to 4,300. Folds back to us, and we have a few options here. We can click it back 4-bet, or we can jam. Could also flat, but ultimately, I ended up deciding to go with the jam. I think players are going to be way too tight in these spots, and we're going to be able to fold out a lot of hands we're flipping against, and it also doesn't lead us to an awkward spot like a 10 high flop versus, say, pocket jacks, who's just going to donk shove on us. So we do go ahead and jam, hijack folds, and small blind goes deep into the tank. Getting a little dicey, but after a minute he decides on a fold. Good result, we add another 6,500 to our stack.
All right, late registration is over. There it is, back up to 1,500 big blinds we got. How much in there?
I've got about 40k.
Yeah, so a little bit over starting stack. Greg busted one of the stacks.
Got 43k.
Hero called.
Yeah, sorry, a hero called. Like, I don't know, like 2 pair. I still beat some value. You know?
It's okay. So we're down to 1 stack. The way it works now is every 20 minutes, so every level, we swap places. I play with stack and he plays with stack. It's kind of like a regular tag team event, but one of our stacks is gone, so we don't win the 20% prize pool for outlasting everyone else. That's okay.
We're here for the trophy. We're here for the. You know what? I think we're gonna play even better now.
We're at 37 players remaining out of 54. So what's that? 26 teams, and gonna be about 7 places paid. So let's get it.
Let's get it.
We are on level 8 now, and unfortunately down to the 1 remaining stack. So Greg and I will be swapping places every 20 minutes, sharing this stack. We have a cutoff open to 1.6k. Versus this opponent, I use a linear 3-bet range, and I raise the ace-8 of hearts up to 4,500. Folds to the big blind, who shoves all in for 15k. Folds back to us, and we're getting a good price here. I'm not sure if it's good enough, and I think we're going to be dominated very often by better ace-x, as well as pocket pairs above the 8. I don't know. It seems like good price. I really don't know this spot, but I toss in the call, and we are indeed dominated by one of those hands. My opponent has the ace-king of diamonds. Let's see if we can suck out. And with that, we are down to 40k in our stack. Still 10,000 over starting stack. Well, we're cooking. Still on the 400-800 big blind level, we have LoJack, who just opened jams, 20 big blinds for 16k. We take a look at our cards, and we've got Pocket Kings in the cutoff. Call or rejam is fine here, doesn't matter which. I decide on a rejam. Our opponent has ace-5 suited. Come on, let's get the hold. And we are back up to 58,000 now. Cutoff opens to 1.6k. We look down at ace-jack offsuit. We can mix between 3-betting and calls versus the cutoff. I decide to just call, and we go to a flop of 10-8 deuce with 2 hearts. I check it over, and my opponent checks behind. Turn is a 7 of clubs. We do pick up a gut shot here, but we're going to once again check it over. And my opponent now puts in a bet of 1,600. This seems very fishy, as most of the hands that would connect with this card would be betting the flop, so I think he's got some sort of ace high or perhaps pocket fours going for a turn protection bet. So I'm going to turn up the heat right away, and I check raise it up to 4,700. My opponent tanks for a bit, then makes the call. River is the 4 of hearts, and on this card, I think I'm going to give up here without a heart in my hand. We can still beat something like ace-9 or queen-jack, and we want our opponent to have ace highs here, so I'm going to give this one up. I check it over, and our opponent checks it back and rolls over. 10-6 off. Okay, we are 100% 3-betting ace-jack versus this opponent from now on. Blinds are up to 600, 1.2k, and we open up the king-10 off on the button to 2,500. Both blinds come along, so we're going to take a 3-way flop, which comes down 9, 6, 5, 2 clubs, and a heart. Action checks to us, and versus 2 players, we are definitely going to be checking this back. Turn is interesting. It's the queen of hearts, improving us to a gut shot, as well as 2 fake flush draws. Small blind now leads out 2,500. Big blind calls, and is back on us. So we have 4 outs to the nuts here, and overcard, which for this sizing should be live, and our gut shot out also improves a lot of our opponent's holdings as well to 2 pairs or maybe a lower straight like 10-8. Plus, we can probably bluff club and heart rivers, so I decide to make the call here. River. It's another interesting card. It's a 9 of hearts. Small blind now puts in a small 5,000 block bet. Big blind gets out the way, and I look over at the small blind stack. He has around 20,000 behind. And I say, you know what? Let's go for it. I move all in, repping the backdoor flush, and we send our opponent deep into the tank. He is thinking it through. I'm not sure if we get trips to fold here. I think it is a possibility, but turn top pair feels more likely given his bet sizings, and I just don't think he can hang on with a queen. And eventually he decides on a fold. Huge pickup there. We are now up to 70,000 in chips. Just 1 orbit later, we are playing against the same player as the last hand. We limp the small blind, and our opponent checks his option. So one thing to note here, he had been raising my small blind limps, I think 2 or 3 times now, so that will play a part in my decisions post-flop. But we go heads up to a flop of Jack 4-3 Rainbow, and kick things off with a very small bet, 1,000, just to clear out his 8-9s, maybe some hands like Queen Deuce, stuff like that. But my opponent snap calls. Turn is the King of Hearts. It's a very good card for us as it shouldn't hit our opponent at all. So I think he raises probably King 9, maybe King 10 offsuit pre-flop. And I don't think any other King X combos make sense for him to float flop with. Obviously King 3, King 4. But overall, I think this is a very good card for us, and it does allow us to go big. So I size up to 5,000, which my opponent once again snap calls. River is the 8 of diamonds, a huge brick. We only need to be worried about 2 pair combos and maybe some sticky Jack X that could possibly find a hero call. But overall, I think his range is weighted towards 4x or 3x combos, judging on the speed of his calls. So I'm going to go for it here. We go and jam all in, a slight overbet here, 19k into the 15k. If a hero calls us with a Jack, then so be it. I think he's incredibly capped here. So I think this is a very good spot. He thinks about it for a little bit, but then angrily calls and rolls over the King 6 offsuit, which I am very surprised to see floated the flop there, but oh well, sometimes you get caught. Down to 48k in our stack now.
just bluff, Sam? I don't feel as bad as anymore.
Into the action, we are down to just 24k. Blinds are 1k, 2k. We have a cutoff open from a very loose player, and I let down ace-4 off on the button. Normally just a fold, but versus this guy specifically, we are going for it. We rejam 12 big blinds, folds back around to him. He says, let's gamble, and flicks in a call with the king 6 suited. We need a hold.
Okay. Very.
Hold! Hold! Oh my god, hold!
Phew. We are still alive, back up to 54k, now good for 27 big blinds. Greg and I go very card dead for 2 levels, and unfortunately blind down to just 28k from our 54k stack, which is good for 9 big blinds. Times are desperate. But we look down and see a beautiful sight, the ace of diamonds. Good enough in the cutoff, so I just shove it. Folds around to the big blind. He calls it off with 6s. Let's take a look at our other card.
Okay. Oh! Yay!
Hey!
Hold! Hold!
We somehow peel ace king and we survive, winning that flip for 60k. Puts us up to 20 big blinds. A few hands later, we're in the big blind with a 10-5 of clubs, facing a button open from the action player. This is the same guy that called us with a king 6 suited. He opens up to 6.5k and we defend. Flop comes down, jack 6 for rainbow. We got the backdoor flush, backdoor straight draw. We check it over, planning to go for the check raise, but he just quickly checks behind. Turn is the 7 of spades, improving us to an open ender. And guys, just check out this turn action.
All in.
And just like that, we are up to over 100,000 in our stack. Our opponent's line just didn't make much sense, especially on this turn. And we're only really worried about a hand like pocket jacks, maybe some other slow played set, or perhaps a turn set of 7s. But versus this guy, I think we just shove our equity in and fold out a lot of better hands here.
All right, really good level that last 20 minutes. There's Greg. He left us with 28,000, so just under starting stack. And after that 20-minute level, we are now up to 106,000. Just a bunch of bluffs. Worked out. Sweet. We are above average stack. There are 17 players remaining out of 54. Only 4 places paid, though, so it's going to be a pretty big bubble. Yeah, 4 places paid out of 54 because 2 people on each team will get paid. Yeah, let's do it.
Blinds are up, 2.5k, 5k. We open up the king 6 of diamonds in the hijack to 10,000, and only the big blind comes along. Flop comes down, ace, 7, deuce, rainbow. Now, I want you guys to notice how long it takes our opponent to check it over to us on this board, because it's going to become important shortly. But in the end, he does check, and now we fire out a continuation bet of 7,000, which he calls. Turn is the 4 of diamonds. He checks again, and I take a look at his stack, and he's got just over pot behind. And I think our nutted hands are a little bit vulnerable on this board, so I think we're just going to go with a mostly all-in size here, slightly over pot with a lot of our value. So I just go ahead and jam our turned flush draw in. My opponent now goes into the tank, and I just want you guys to know, this player has used more than their fair share of time. Every pre-flop decision, including folds, are like 15 to 30 seconds. Checking it over in an obvious check spot are also huge tanks as well. So I don't feel bad about this at all, and after 90 seconds... Clock. Our opponent has 30 seconds to act now, and he is struggling. As the clock counts down, our opponent needs to make a decision, and he goes with the fold. We table the bluff right away, get right in his head, and now we're up to 154,000. Good for over 30 big blinds. We open up the ace 8 of clubs to 10,000 in the low jack. Button makes the call, so we're going heads up to this flop, which comes down king 10 deuce rainbow. Out of position, we'll be playing quite defensively here, so I start with a check, and our opponent checks behind. Turn is the 4 of clubs, improving us the nut flush draw, but I don't really see any sense in betting here, so I check it once again, and our opponent checks behind. River is the 6 of clubs. We backdoor our way into the nuts, and I started thinking about how to extract max value here. Our opponent hasn't shown any willingness to fight for this pot, so I don't think he has anything. But given that he just checked back, I think maybe he could have something like pocket 5s? Hopefully a 6? I don't know. Maybe he also backdoored a flush, but I don't think he's got anything here. So I decide to just go for a 1 big blind block bet here, which works perfectly. Our opponent now raises us to 20,000 and it's back on us. And I think it's super easy to get overexcited here and just go for the jam, just praying that he also has a flush, but I think it's just so unlikely. And we have to remember, I put the read on this guy that he has absolutely nothing. So I'm going to give him one more chance to bluff off here, and we go for the min 3-bet and raise it up to 35,000. And we send our opponent deep into the tank. A few seconds go by, we are praying for him to level himself and 4-bet jam. And after a minute, our opponent decides on a call. Absolutely no idea what he could have had to raise call river like that. Maybe something like 7-6, but anyways, another big one coming our way to put us up over 200,000 in chips.
All right, another crazy 20 minutes. We are down to final 14 people. 4 places paid still. We are now chip leading the tournament. Look at this.
Are we leading the tournament?
Chip leading the tournament.
No, we're not. No
Yeah.
way. How about Maxine?
Nope, we cover. We've got 200 and I think 10K. He has about 180. Oh, maybe he's got a little bit more. Actually, I didn't see the blues on the table, so we're second in place. Next, everyone, a lot of stacks like 100K and then quite a few short, like 40K.
Yeah,
So
and the important thing is his partner's short. Because I was thinking if they both get to the final table, we're kind of fucked.
no, we're fine. Whatever.
Yeah,
Whatever.
but it's good thing he's short.
Whatever.
You know,
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
We can outplay 2 people.
Yeah, so we're pretty much second in chips, almost tied for first.
And this has been so fun. This format's
Yes.
so fun.
Yes.
It's like just 20 minutes, swapping. It's great.
Yeah.
Supporting each other. I feel like we've got the best vibes of all the partners.
Dude, your shirt.
Huh, the vibes.
See you guys soon.
Blinds are up to 4K, 8K now. We open it up in the cutoff with a 10, 8 of clubs to 16,000. Folds around to the small blind, who reshoves for 70,000, and it's back on us. I don't really know about this spot, but it seems close. I think she reshoves all pocket pairs, a lot of ace X and strong king X, so I think we have good clearance here. The price is good. 54K to 102K. We still have an okay stack if we lose. I don't really know. You guys tell me below what to do here, but anyways, we make the call. We're up against the ace queen offsuit.
Come on, unreasonable hand. Suck out.
顶住，
Jack of clubs.
顶住，
10.
漂亮。
We don't manage to find a 10 or an 8 or a jack, and unfortunately we are down to 140K. Still good for about 15 big blinds or so.
Final table, you guys. We got an average stack. 167K, average stack is 180. And we're down to the final 9, or I guess 18. 4 places paid. So, pretty long way to go still. It's a really big bubble, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
I've made so many final tables at APT where I haven't cashed. This will not be one of them.
Nope. We're getting another lion.
Okay, folks, 54 players entered. We've outlasted 45 of them to get to the final 9. We are still a ways away from the money, 4 places paid, so 5 unlucky gooses will be going home with nothing on this final table. We have roughly 14 big blinds, and we open up the King 7 offsuit in the cutoff to 25,000. I know this is too loose, but everyone is playing so tight at these tables. Anyways, big blind does defend, and we go to a flop of King 5-3 rainbow. It's a beautiful flop. We have top pair. Our effective stack to start the hand was like 14 bigs, so there's virtually no run out where I don't just triple off here for value. I kick things off with a 20,000 chip bet, which our opponent calls. Turn is the 6 of spades. We pick up a gut shot here, and our opponent once again checks. We have about a pot-sized bet remaining, so we could shove, but I think I prefer a small bet here as the ICM pressure is ramping up, and I don't want to just jam into the nuts with a bluff. So I'm just going to go for 35,000 here, which my opponent once again calls. Very good situation developing here. We go to the river. SPR is half, and it is the 7 of diamonds. It's a pretty good card, improving us to 2 pair here. My opponent now goes deep into the tank, and I think if he donks, I'm just going to fold. I don't know. It's never a bluff when they do it, but after a little bit, he does check it over to us, and now that's back on us. There's only one move here. We move all in for a remaining 85,000. I do leave 5k behind, but we put our opponent into the blender. And after using his last time bank, it's a very long tank, he ultimately decides on a call. Great news for us. We roll it over. The King 7 is good, and we are now chip leading this final table with 338k in chips. The average stack is only about 180,000. Let's go.
All right, first level of the final table. We are down to just 8-handed now. Greg's in on his turn. There. Started with 160k, so just under average stack, and then managed to find a very nice double up the King 7. And then we were chip leading for a bit, and then went a little bit card dead, lined it down. So now we're like 250k, average stack 200k, so we're doing well. 8 players left, 4 places paid. Let's go.
We are back in it. Greg was unfortunately quite card dead, and the blinds are up to 10k, 20k with the 20k big blind ante. We were sitting on 210,000 after the blinds have gone through us. But we pick up the King 8 offsuit, and we decide to raise fold this hand, as players just aren't going to be jamming wide enough. Go up to 40k, and we get it through. We're up to 260,000 now. Next, we open up the Ace 7 offsuit in the hijack. Big blind defends, flop is ace high. We throw out the 1 big blind bet, as he will have to massively overfold here. Like, he can't even call, like, say 9-8 with a backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw. But anyways, he makes the call. Turn is the Queen of Spades, and we continue firing. 50,000 this time. It's around half his stack, and my opponent folds. We're up to 390,000 now. On to the next hand. We defend the 6-4 suited versus an under the gun open. Flop comes down 5 deuce deuce. Opponent now bets 40,000 into 110k, and we decide to go for the min raise up to 80k here, just trying to clear out all of her king queen, queen jack type hands. But after a bit of a tank, our opponent jams, so we get out of there. We're down to 230k. We do manage to find a shove with an ace in the small blind to bring us back up to 270k as we go to Greg's turn. So Greg does open up the king jack off, gets rejammed by king queen, but we manage to find the double paired board and manage to chop that one up, and now we are back in the mix. Blinds are now a gigantic 15,000, 30,000, aka one entire starting stack as the big blind. We have 250k in our stack, 7 players remaining, 4 places paid. Let's try and run it up. We open up the small blind to 65,000 with the queen 3 off and get it through up to 325k now. Next hand, we're on the button and open the 10-8 off to 60k as big blind does cover us. Small blind reshoves for 150k, 115k, and we call. Managed to find the 2 pair, and now we're up to 500,000 and chip leading the tournament once again. The next hand, we shove ace 4 suited in the cutoff, get it through up to 575. Then we shove the king 8 off, get it through once again up to 650k. The next hand, we fold under the gun, we had 9-6 off. Then in the big blind, we get a walk. After that, we fold our small blind to a shove, and now we're back on the button. There are 5 players remaining now on the stone cold bubble, and we're chip leading with about 630k in our stack. Small blind is second in chips with about 300k, so 10 bigs, but big blind only has 15k behind, meaning small blind has to basically fold any 2. So when it folds around to us, we just blind shove our stack in. Small blind actually looks like she has a tough decision, but given we're on the stone cold bubble, the big blind is going to call for sure. She ultimately ends up deciding to fold, and big blind calls it off with a king 8 offsuit. We roll over our cards, and we've got...
Okay, I haven't looked. Not good.
4, 5. Okay, good. Versus what?
King 8.
Nice
King
call.
8 at risk versus 5-4. 5?
5.
Let's go. Hold. No king, no 8. 2.
do manage to crack the King 8 offsuit, putting us up to around 750,000 in chips, which is just under half the chips in play among the 4 remaining players. We aren't finished yet. We open up the 10-8 of clubs the very next hand. Big blind defends. We bet 1 big blind and take it down. Up to 840k. Next hand we're in the big blind. Cut off his shove for 200k, which is around 7 bigs. We look down at ace-9 off. Easiest call of my life. We flick it in. We're up against the deuces, which I did hear never loses.
Come on, ace! Oh, come on, Sam! Oh,
Well, I guess that's wrong, because just like that, we win another all-in, and we're up to 1.1 million in chips. We defend the Jack-9 off. Flop does go check, check. We fire 1 big blind into the middle, get it through, and with that, it is now Greg's turn. Greg, take it home!
All right, guys, we were at the final table. There were 6 players remaining, 4 places paid, and Greg gave us like a decent amount of chips, like 300k, so we're just above the average stack. Average stack's 270k. I chipped up a little bit, and then I just started shoving every single hand. Every single hand was an open. I think I won in the 20 minutes, I think 9 hands out of the total 10 that were dealt, just blind shoving. There were some very short stacks, and everyone was playing super tight, and got ourselves up from 300k to 1.2 million just in 20 minutes. And there's about 1.6 million play, and he's heads up. Look at that. Greg's heads up. We're going for the fucking trophy, you guys. Back to back. I just won one last night. We're gonna win another one tonight. Let's get it. Let's go Real Greg.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Thank you all so much for watching. I had an incredible time playing this event. It was unbelievably fun. If you were ever at the APT, you must play this event. Thank you, of course, to the APT. Thank you to all of you watching, liking, subscribing on all my videos, doing all the things. And of course, thank you to my teammate and friend, Greg. What an incredible event to win a trophy in. I'm loving tournaments. If you guys want to play any tournaments with me, there is a link in the description. Go check it out. Otherwise, I hope you guys are really enjoying these tournament vlogs, because there'll be many more of these in the future. See you all again soon.